Hey, what's up guys, you get Chipsy, and today we are back with ITL Week 7. This time I'm going to be facing off against my man Akki, the GOAT. And yeah, Akki is the ITL commissioner, for those of you guys who may not be aware, but I've been playing ITL for a while now, so I'm sure most of you guys know that. Yeah, Akki's the commissioner of the league, and he is a guy who always makes playoffs, always makes finals, in most leagues that he plays. ITL is no different. He's been a real playoff contender every season for the most part, and he always drafts some kind of power. And this season, he has drafted Nugget with his first round pick, and he's coupled that with Mega Morwal and this crazy team that he's made a bunch of changes to. But ultimately, it's ended on a really interesting team with Trick Room support for Morwal. He's got Sand offense with Drill and Titar. He's got really good braking support for Morwal in Nugget and his Conkelda, and to top that off, he has a Z Manaphy on his team, which is kind of crazy. So yeah, Akki has a really powerful team. Very, I want to say, like, it's unorthodox in the sense that it's so many different styles, so many different forms of speed control in Trick Room, in Webs, in Sand, and then he's got like great offensive cleaners and offensive breakers. So he's got a really cool team. It's probably not the best team he's ever drafted, but it is certainly a headache to prep for. And I knew in this game in week 7, me and Akki, we always have hype games. I got a long history of them in the ITL, and I knew this one would be no different. Chances are we are going to face again in playoffs, so we won't necessarily be revealing all our best cards in this first initial game, but each of us is still going to be putting in effort. I don't know, he's gonna bring the sauce for this game, and as you can see, he's opted to bring what looks to be Trick Room with an Excadrill. So this is going to be really interesting. In prep, I really didn't prep that much for Trick Room. I knew it was a possibility that he'd bring it, but honestly I felt like he'd pursue another route. But Trick Room is really fucking nasty to face. He's got the Conk, which on a Trick Room just bodies me. He's got the Morwal, which has no switch-ins. I have a defensive Gligar that can take 2 player offs, but if he's Ice Punch, then it just bobs my Gligar. He's potentially got Webs support in Smeargle. Like, he could be like dual speed control, so like Webs or Trick Room, depending on like what kind of team I bring. That was a thought at matchup. And then he's probably got a especially defensive or like just bulky offensive Excadrill to be able to take on my Magino. And it also could be a Scarfed variant to give him some sort of speed control outside of Trick Room. If he removes my flying types, then he might be able to sweep with Scarf EQ. So those were my kind of thoughts at matchup. Either way, this is going to be a tough one because he does have Trick Room, and that, if you look, like his Trick Room breakers, they just kind of blow through my team. So we're going to jump into the game and see how it went. So he's going to lead off with Conk, as I do lead off with my Torn. Conk was a really nice lead on his part if he expected me to just lead with my Tar to get up rocks, which I do tend to do in a lot of games. But Torn led pretty nicely versus anything, honestly, as I can just knock off his Conk's potential Flame Orb. In this case, I knock off his Mashana's Mental Herb, which means that if I was Torn, I would be able to stop this from getting up Trick Room, but I am not Taunt on this Torn, so I'm going to go hard into my Titar here, understanding that he is going to get the Trick Room up. And at the moment, I just want to get my rocks up. He's going to pass the Fast Baton Pass out into his Morwal here, and I am just going to throw my rocks up. Now, this is really rough. Like I said, like, he's got Mega Maw in Trick Room versus like a really offensive team like the one I've bought. I don't want to sack Tar, because I am actually sub on this Tar, and I will be able to sub up on something like Dusclops outside of Trick Room, and he won't be able to break me. It's going to mean that I can beat his Dusclops 1v1. I can also sub on passive stuff like Mashana, Smeargle as well potentially. So sub is also a really nice way of stalling out Trick Room if I need to. So I don't want to lose Titar. It could be useful in the late game. So I'm just going to go into my Gligar. Like I mentioned, I can potentially tank 2 play roughs. Well, I literally do. I'm not killed by +2 play rough. But if he's Ice Punch, yeah, then I just lose my Gligar, and he is going to reveal the Ice Punch here. So Gligar just goes down, and he's still got to turn a Trick Room. So I got to pick another one. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to let my boy Torn go down, which is going to be rough because he does reveal the Iron Head. So he's got SD, Iron Head, and Ice Punch. He could have Sucker Punch or Play Rough in his last slot, or he could be something like Rocks on this Morwal, honestly. But this turn, I am going to bring in Kyurem, and Akki is obviously going to be running like a really bulky Morwal here, and Morwal can live any hit from my Kyurem. even if I'm like Specs Earth Power, he comfortably takes that on. He's not going to die to like Z ICM or Z Fusion Bolt or anything like that. But what he can't live is the Z Earth Power. So I'm going to bust that out here. And Akki stays in, banking on the fact that I'm not going to have the Z Earth Power, because it's kind of a weird bring versus his team. Like honestly, Z Draco or like Z Fusion Bolt would be better for Manaphy. And like I should in theory have other ways of checking more. Like everything on my team really like does at least half to it with an attack. So yeah, I definitely understand why he didn't expect the Tech Rage there, but he certainly regretted leaving in Mawile there, as he could have brought it in later on. But we are going to take out the Mawile here, and this is one of those turns that like we both spent ages thinking about our move. Like definitely like press cancel a few times on both sides. So we get him there. Kyurem is going to drop them more, and now he's going to bring in his Mashana here. So I'm just going to go for the Ice Beam here. And what this means is that Mashana can no longer switch in on rocks and get up Trick Room later on in the match. And that is going to be really important, because now, after I've eliminated that Mawile, that's all great and all, but he does have a Conk left in the back, and that thing is a monster under Trick Room. And my team is looking very, very weak to Conk Elder under Trick Room. So the more I can limit his Trick Room setters, the better. So I'm going to go for the Ice Beam here, which puts his Mashana in range of rocks. And as he is going to set up the Trick Room. Now this turn I'm going to double into I'm going to hard switch to my beginner on his Psychic. This covered him going for the Baton Pass into Conk, but if he clicked Baton Pass at that turn, he was more than likely going to go into his Excadrill anyway. But he does go for the Psychic, as this turn he is going to Baton Pass out into his Conkeldurr. And this turn I am just going to fire off the Flash Cannon. Now, he's going to get the Flame Orb Guts boost, and if he's got the Earthquake, it's going to like blow my beginner away. It's probably going to take me out. I am max HP beginner on this set, but it probably still kills, or at least EQ into Mach Punch would kill. I didn't run the calc, but it would do a lot anyway. But we actually have the tech on deck. We are the Iron Ball beginner, so we will be able to actually underspeed everything on his team in Trick Room. So like I mentioned, like I didn't consider Trick Room too heavily in team building, but I did consider it somewhat. And Beginner is you know, potentially a really nice anti-Trick Room mon versus Akki's team. Certainly versus Conkeldurr and Mawile if I get some boosts. So now he's going to bring in his Excadrill, which is his only relevant offensive threat versus me at this point in the match. And I'm not gonna sack off McGinn here. I'm gonna go hard into my Kyurem Black, as he does just decide to make the double into his Dusclops here. So I think he went Dusclops scouting for the Focus Blast, as I think he feared that taking out his Exca there. But it also does mean he can set up Trick Room this turn with his Dusclops, which is going to refresh his Trick Room turns, because he is actually a slow Excadrill on his team. So he's going to go for Wisp here as I do sub. I subbed on the off chance that he didn't have Wisp and that he'd just go hard into his Mashana to sack it off to the rocks and then revenge my T-Type with Drill. But he does reveal to have Wisp, so he's got Trick Room and Wisp. I don't know what the rest of his coverage moves are at this point, but he's now going to go into Drill on my Crunch. And right here we are going to crunch him. We end up getting a crit, which isn't going to be too important, because he's going to Earthquake me here, break my sub, and I'm going to reveal EQ here, and it's going to put him in his berry range. So he's actually going to be at a higher amount of health than if I hadn't crit him with the crunch, if that makes sense. He would have been outside of his berry range most likely. But his Drill is going to be able to take out my Tar here. There's not a whole point of preserving Tar at this point, because I am burnt, so I won't be able to do much damage to Dusclops. And I do have my Keld in the back, which can take on this Excadrill and the rest of his team. So at this point, Akki is going to forfeit, because he didn't have an offensive move on the rest of his Mons, really. Keldeo just won at that point. But it seemed like a really quick game, but this game took a while. We really thought about our turns, and it was definitely a really intense game. I think one of the big turning points was definitely his Mawile staying into my Kyurem. I completely understand the thought process, and in another situation it really could have worked out for Akki. Also, like, I could have been sub Kyurem on that turn. Like, I could have subbed, predicting him to scout for the Z Earth Power. I could have gone for something else, like a different attack, expecting him to switch out. It was a really difficult turn for him, and ultimately he chose to stay in an attack, which I can definitely understand. But yeah, I think the combination of Kyurem being Z Earth Power and my beginner being the Iron Ball, being able to outslow his threats like Mawile and Conk on the Trick Room, really came in clutch. But that's going to be my week 7 game against Akki. Definitely a very fun game. Chances are we're going to play again in playoffs, and that should be a lot of fun for sure. That's going to be it from me. Hope you guys enjoyed. Drop a like if you did, and let me know what you guys think of the ITL so far. And I'll catch you guys next time.